Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Murdy, your host for today's webinar. On behalf of USDA's Economic Research Service, welcome and thank you for joining us in the sixth segment of our data training webinar series. Today's webinar will feature ERS economist Carrie Lukowski and Deepak Subedi as they spotlight our farm income and wealth statistics and our Agricultural Resource Management Survey data dissemination tool. As part of the data training webinar series, this webinar is meant to teach those interested in ERS data how to access and fully utilize our many data products. And what better way to do so than connecting you directly with the experts. Throughout the year, this webinar series has continued to connect viewers with ERS specialists on a variety of different data products. If interested, details of the entire webinar series can be found on our webpage, which we'll link to in the message center here shortly. Before I introduce our speakers, I'd like to remind you that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the ERS website next week. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the chat feature at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and our economist will answer them during a Q&A session following the presentation. Now, it's a pleasure to introduce our speakers, Carrie Lukowski and Deepak Subedi. Both serve in the Farm Economy branch of our Resource and Rural Economics Division. As a senior economist and farm income team leader, Carrie is responsible for planning and implementing an estimation, research, and analysis program focused on developing sector-wide measures of farm income, value added, and the aggregate farm sector balance sheet. Prior to joining ERS, Carrie worked at the Bureau of Economic Analysis for 22 years, where she was responsible for the production of farm income and employment statistics for the nation. As a member of the farm income team, Deepak is responsible for estimating and forecasting direct government payments and crop insurance indemnities, updating the 10-year agricultural baseline model for the U.S. farm sector, and compiling data in the Agricultural Resource Management Survey web tool each year. Most recently, his research has centered on the impact that COVID-19 relief program payments have had on the economic well-being of farm households and minority producers. He has also authored multiple COVID-19 working papers and peer-reviewed journal articles. Prior to joining ERS, Deepak served as an economist in the Bureau of Labor Statistics, where he worked on the quarterly Census of Employment and Wages program. Thank you both for joining us today. We'll begin with opening remarks from Carrie on our farm income and wealth statistics, followed by Deepak's overview of the ARMS data dissemination tool. Without further ado, let's begin. The floor is yours, Carrie.
Thank you, Ashley. And hello, good morning or afternoon, wherever you're at. Thank you for joining us today. For over 100 years, USDA has produced a calendar year estimate of net farm income. The farm income and wealth statistics have been designated a premier statistical product of the Economic Research Service, meaning that the data is influential and central to the agency's mission. It also adheres to the statistical policy directives for principal federal statistical agencies, of which ERS is one. Net farm income is one of the most frequently cited USDA statistics. Our farm income data releases are often covered in national and local media. Here are just a few recent headlines covering a few different aspects of our most recent release. But our statistics are referenced throughout the year in articles, blogs, congressional testimony about the agricultural economy, trade, finance, or rural issues. The ERS Farm Income and Wealth Statistics Program estimates, forecasts, and explains the economic performance of the U.S. farm sector. The data provides guidance to policymakers, businesses, including agricultural lenders, input suppliers, and commodity organizations who want an assessment or a forecast of agricultural sector conditions before making important decisions. Also, the data is used by state governments, academic researchers, and others with an interest in the health of the farm sector. Our data is featured in reports and statistics produced by other federal agencies, including the Economic Report of the President, Congressional Budget Office reports, and the data is used by the Bureau of Economic Analysis in measuring the farm sector's contribution to gross domestic product, or the U.S. economy. With this program, we put out a lot of data. Today, I'm going to show you how to access the data and give you some examples of the kinds of information that we have available for you. But first, why are the data so widely used? Why is it so frequently cited? Net farm income provides a bottom line or summary statistic on farm sector profitability, which can also be used as an indicator of the economic performance or situation of farm operations. Net income affects the ability of farmers to meet their loan obligations, invest in new machinery, remain in production, expand their operations, and to provide for family living expenses. Additionally, we measure net income from the bottom up, meaning that underlying data, or the components of farm income, are available to explain the year-to-year changes in farm income. Also, our farm income measures are consistent across both time and geography, meaning that you can compare income across states and you can evaluate trends. We have two primary measures of farm income. Net farm income is a broad measure of income and is calculated as the sum of the value of crop and animal production and animal product production, farm-related income and direct government payments, less production expenses, or the costs incurred to produce their agricultural output. This includes both cash and non-cash items and accounts for changes in commodity inventories and capital consumption, or the depreciation of farm assets. Net cash farm income considers only cash income and expenses and is measured as cash receipts plus farm-related income, direct government payments, less cash production expenses. So what do we mean by the farm sector? How are we defining it? According to the 2017 Census of Agriculture, there are 2 million farms in the U.S., and they operate 900 million acres of land. According to the Agricultural Resource Management Survey, ARMS, about half of these farms are what we call farm businesses. So these are larger farms, plus those farms where the principal operators' primary occupation is farming. These farm businesses account for about 90% of the sector's total production. Also, about 5 million people live in households that are connected to a farm. What do we produce? Through the ERS Farm Income and Wealth Statistics Program, we put out data on the amount of income earned by farmers and ranchers with the underlying components of net income, along with data on the level of assets and debt held by the sector. And I'll get into a lot more examples of what this includes later. We produce annual state and national estimates or historical estimates. That's data for prior years. We currently have state-level estimates on farm income back to 1949 and U.S. estimates back to 1910. We also produce national short-run annual forecasts, with our current forecast being for calendar year 2022. This first link for data will take you to our data files and data visualizations. The second link is where you can find a written discussion of our current forecast. You can also get to the data product page and the forecast discussion through the ERS website. So if you're on the ERS homepage, you can go to the menu bar up on the top and select data products, and then select farm economy. That will take you to a list of data products for the farm economy listed in alphabetical order. So to get to the farm income and wealth statistics, just look for the farm income and wealth statistics. Here it's marked as an app for the data product. On the data product page, we have our data files section. And this section links you to all of our interactive reports, data files, and data visualizations. All of our data is here, along with related documentation and other information on our data. Note this menu on the left side is how I'm going to walk you through the farm income and wealth statistics data in the subsequent slides. Quick tip, we have a list of frequently asked questions in the update and revision history section, which you can see on that left-hand menu. There are about almost 20 questions there, which you may find and answers, which you may find helpful. I couldn't get the entire page of data files on one screen, but here we do have a list of all of the interactive reports that we have available, many with both state and U.S. level data. To get us started, let me show you one of our tables, our value added table, which is first on the list, which shows detailed information on the farm sector's contribution to the U.S. economy and has our net farm income estimates and forecasts. There is a value added table for the U.S. and for every state. You could just click on the state or the U.S. or whatever you want to look at. There are a number of options for viewing the data. From the time period pull-down menu at the top, you can choose to view the data for the most recent 10 years, or you can view the data for all years. You can also choose to see the data in nominal or real dollars. Once you've made your selections, be sure to click the Submit button to refresh the data. Just below those pull-down menus is a button that looks like an old-fashioned computer diskette. Hopefully you can see it there. If you click on that, you can download the data as an Excel file. We have additional tables on net cash income and returns to operators. We also produce detailed cash receipts data on about 130 commodities and commodity groupings. We have government payments for about 20 different programs or categories of programs, such as payments from the Agricultural Risk Coverage Program, the Price Loss Coverage Program, and conservation programs as a group. Our production expenses table cover about 24 different expense items. I'll cover what's included in our balance sheet in a few more slides. From the left-hand menu of the data product page, if you click on Summary of Data Findings, it will take you to our Farm Sector Income and Finances topic page, which has a written discussion of our current forecasts and includes some nice charts, such as this one, which shows our two primary measures of net income over the past 20 years and the 2022 forecasts in real dollars. We're forecasting net cash farm income in 2022 to be at its highest level since 2012, when prior years are adjusted for inflation. Net farm income is forecast to fall just slightly in 2022 after reaching a near record high in 2021. These above average net cash farm income and net farm income forecasts largely reflect strong growth in commodity cash receipts or sales, even as farmers are expected to see large increases in production expenses or costs in 2022. We get into more detail in this summary of data findings if you're interested. We also have 3 data visualizations which you can use to explore the data through charts and maps. The first data visualization allows you to get some quick facts about farms in a particular state. Note that all of the data in our visualizations are also available on our web reports. Here we have Kansas. In 2021, net farm income was $5.2 billion. You can choose to rank and graph any of the farm facts. In this example, we see that Kansas ranked 7th across all 50 states in government payments in 2021. My favorite feature of this visualization is that it tells you the top 5 cash receipt commodities and the top 5 production expense items for any state. In Kansas, cattle and calves are the leading cash receipt commodity, and livestock purchases are the single largest expense item. Next, we have our Farm Income Atlas, where you can map and compare components of farm income across states. Here I have selected to look at direct government payments, which are payments made directly to farm operations from the federal government, and usually from farm programs. This map shows USDA pandemic assistance to farmers in 2021. Iowa led the nation in USDA pandemic assistance to farmers at $558 million. If you change the units, you could see that in Iowa, this assistance amounted to 27% of total direct government payments and 1% of gross farm income in 2021. You can also look at the percent change from the prior year. Other tabs on this visualization look at cash receipts, farm-related income, and production expenses. The visualization has data back to 2008. In addition to providing data on farm income, we also have data on the level of assets and debt held by the farm sector. This is shown in our farm sector balance sheet, for which we also have a data visualization. In this chart from the visualization, we can see that since 1987, farm sector assets have trended upward in real or inflation-adjusted dollars, while the level of debt held by farmers has remained relatively low. For this chart, you can choose which summary measures and years to display. On the other tabs, we have data on farm assets by type, including data on real estate values. We also have data on farm debt by type and by lender, for instance, debt from commercial banks or the farm credit system. And we also report estimates and forecasts for about 19 financial ratios designed to indicate the financial standing or performance of the farm sector as a whole. These include ratios such as debt to asset, operating expense, debt service, and the rate of return on farm assets. In addition to the web reports and data visualizations, there are other ways to access the data. On the Data Files page, if you scroll down towards the bottom of the page, you can find CSV files with all of the data from a particular release. So if you want all the data from our most recent release, select the September 1, 2022 file that is listed first there. We have another CSV file with select U.S. estimates and forecasts from previous farm income releases back to 1977. With this file, you can examine how our forecasts and estimates for a given year evolve or are revised over time. We release and update our data 3 times a year. In February, we released our first U.S. forecast for 2022 and updated our forecast for 2021. On September 1st, we updated our 2021 U.S. forecast again using new data that had become available since February, and we converted our we updated the 2022 forecast again, and we converted our 2021 forecast into an estimate using survey-based data and other observed data. We also put out our first state-level estimates for 2021 in that September 1 release. On December 1st, we'll update our 2022 forecasts again, and we'll start the cycle all over again in February of 2023, when we'll release our first forecast for 2023, and then we'll have our first 2022 state estimates in late August or early September 2023. Our data is released at 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the ERS website. That same day, we also have a public webinar where I discuss the latest forecasts. Webinars are recorded, so prior webinars are available for review currently on our website. Now, we combine a lot of data from many data sources to derive our estimates and forecasts. One important source of data is the Agricultural Resource Management Survey, or ARMS, which Deepak is going to talk about next. So Deepak, go ahead and take it over.
Thank you, Carrie, for passing along. ERS released a new ARMS data dissemination tool that allows for more user interaction, include chatting capability, and has an application program interface for direct queries. So I'm excited to tell you about ARMS data dissemination tools. ARMS is one and only farm financial information of U.S. farm sectors, including farm operations, farm business, and farm households. This is a primary source of information on production practices, resource use of U.S. businesses, and the financial well-being of U.S. farm households. As you might know, ARMS is an annual survey jointly with USDA National Agricultural Statistics Service, NASS. ARMS provides information that is useful for objective evaluations of many issues related to agriculture and the rural economy. There are three primary uses of ARMS data. As Gary mentioned, for the farm sector estimates and forecast, ARMS data are used. ARMS data are used for the farm business estimates and forecast. And we also used ARMS data for farm households estimates and forecasts. You'll see different ERS webinars that presented based on the ARMS data, as I'm presenting web data tools where we use summarize ARMS data for different types of farms. And you can also see different NASS and ERS postings based on ARMS data. In the ERS website, you see different ERS publications. For example, Economic Information Bulletin, Economic Research Report. Most of those reports use ARMS data. In the ERS and other publications, AmberWeb's publication, in AmberWeb's findings, in AmberWeb's features, and also ERS popular data features, charts of note. They all use ARMS information. Sometimes ERS provides information to different sister organizations within the USDA using ARMS data. For example, in the recent Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, CFAP, during that rulemaking process, some of the ARMS information was used. To get access to ARMS data, first you have to go to ERS homepage, ers.usda.gov, and you can see data products thought from the left. And when you click that data products, you'll see the farm economy. Once you click that link, it will show you the search results for farm economy, and by alphabetical order, ARMS is on the top. And you have to click ARMS Farm Financials and Crop Production Practices. This is the ERS homepage, and in that circle on the left, you'll see the overview, and in the middle, there is a tailored reports. It's called Farm Structure and Finance. In that same web page, you'll see the questionnaires and manuals. There you can see different year information. For example, ARMS was conducted since 1996. You have all the information regarding ARMS questionnaire, interviewer manual, and other related information that are listed by years. The ARMS web tool allows for more user interactions. As I said earlier, it includes sorting capabilities. And the good feature ARMS tool does have is it does have API, so that you can use that API keys to pull all the information all at once. ARMS Web Tools includes different teller reports, and it also does have ARMS data analysis features, which I'll show you in the future slides. The information in the ARMS Web Tool includes related to income statements, balance sheet, and financial ratios, and operator household income. And we have those informations by different firms, by different regions, by farm operator characteristics. For example, operator age, operators, principal operators education. In the income statement, you'll see the revenue and expense variables, and the balance sheet provides assets, liabilities, and equity, and different financial indicator, for example, those efficiency, profitability, solvency, and liquidity ratios. And you'll see the operator household income by different categories. In the same ERS homepage, on the top left, you'll see the overview. Under that overview, in the middle, you'll see the brief video tutorials on how to get access to ARMS Web Tools. It also does have information related to API key and how to download the data using different softwares. This is a main landing report for the ARMS Web Tool. If you look at on the left side, on the top, within the circle, you'll see the teller reports, and by default, you'll see the under report farm business balance sheet, and in the subject, it's all farms and filtered by all farms. That's the default. But when you click that report, you'll see the different teller reports. For example, farm business income statements, financial ratios, structural characteristics, farm business debt repayment capacity, and government payments, etc. In the subject, that's default you'll get by all farms, but you can also choose farm business and farm operator households. And you can filter that information by ERS defined collapse farm typology, economic class, farm typology, operator as, etc. To get the information, what do you mean by that collapse farm typology? You just have to move your mouse over that question mark, and it will give you the detailed definition of what kind of information are included under each categories. Here, for the example, I am switching that farm business balance sheet to income statements, and I am focusing on production specialty for dairy. In the later examples, I'll lay out more detailed information how you can pull together. We do have another options to change the teller reports to ARMS data analysis, where you can gather your interested variables by different farm type, and you can filter by different categories, as I mentioned earlier. For example, economic class, operator household income, etc. And in the middle, you can view multiple years back to 1996, and you can either choose the years you are interested. For example, here I'm interested in last 3 years, 18 to 20. you can filter that information by all survey states. As for the ARMS, there are 15 major agricultural states we survey each year. I am giving you an example to look at the U.S. dairy farms financial information from 1996 to 2020. Here for the example, I'm interested more on the gross revenue, cash expenses, net cash farm income, net farm income, and number of farms. In this slide on the left, you'll see that my interested variables. I selected those variables, and in the middle, you'll see those information back to 1996. Those line graphs are gross cash farm income, cash expenses, net cash farm income, and the net farm income. In the bottom, in the bar diagrams, those are the number of farms. As you can see, U.S. dairy farm incomes. What do I mean by dairy farms is 50% or more income is coming from dairy farms. So dairy farms income had been increasing over time, and you can see in 2020, gross cash farm income for dairy farms was record high. But another interesting thing here is number of dairy farms over time. In 1996, there were over 90,000 dairy farms, but in 2020, it was less than 40,000. So this example shows this is a perfect example of dairy consolidations in recent years. In the previous slide, you saw those line graph and bar diagram, but underneath that, you'll see the data tables as well. So you have the option whether to download data from data tables, or you can also download that graphs from the web tool. So in summary, ARMS has been conducted annually since 1996, and this is a great web tool data dissemination tools we recently developed that gives you more easy access to ARMS data, and you can analyze and compare different farm financial statistics. And we usually update this information once in a year. So in coming around in the month of December, we'll have data for 2021. So this concludes my remark, and I'll pass it to Ashley.
Thanks, Deepak. We'll go ahead and open the floor for questions now. As a reminder, questions can be submitted through the chat feature located at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Before we begin, though, I'd like to introduce another panelist who will be helping answer questions today. Joining Carrie and Deepak, we have agricultural economist Christine Witt, who also serves in the Farm Economy branch of our Resource and Rural Economics Division. As a member of the Farm Income team, Christine primarily leads the development of our farm household topic pages and data product, which is released alongside of the Farm Income and Wealth Statistics data product. Thanks for joining us, Christine. Now for our first question. In reference to Farm Income and Wealth Statistics, where do you get the underlying data?
Yeah, thank you for that question. there could be two possible interpretations to that question that I'm thinking of. Data, if you mean like our underlying components of income, like where we have cash receipts, we do production expenses, because I referred to that as underlying data. I meant, just the components of income. That's available also on our data product page, right, in all of those other tables. Like I showed you the value added table, that has some of the information on cash receipts and expenses, for example. If the question is more about underlying data, in that what data do we use to derive our estimates and forecasts, there is some discussion bullets on the side menu where we have some documentation where we talk about our sources to some degree. But it does come from a variety of sources, a lot of NASS surveys, which, all that data is available on NASS. They have a quick stats application on their website over there. That's NASS being the National Agricultural Statistics Service. But we also get underlying data from other agencies, for instance, that administer the various farm programs and make government payments to farmers. But if you have any further questions about our underlying data or how we derive our data, I encourage you to reach out to us. You can see on this slide right here, there's 2 email addresses, and those go directly to us. So if you email the Farm Income team, Deepak, Christine, and I are all going to get that email, and we'd be happy to talk to you about this further. So thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. For our next question, does the ARMS web tool provide information regarding government payments?
I'll go ahead and send this question over to Deepak.
That's a great question. You'll find for a year, for example, 2020, when the government payments were record high at over 45 billion. More farm operations, about 40% of all farm operations received some government payments. I would like to provide you some more comparison as compared to 2019. That number is 10% more, or about 200,000 more farm operations received some government payments in 2020 compared to 2019. And as I just show you under that Taylor reports, there is a government payments category. So when you click that, you will have all the information by different farm types and by different economic class or class farm types.
Thanks, Deepak. For the next question, can you tell me about the ARMS sample?
Yes, I'll go ahead and send that back to Deepak too if you would like to take it.
ARMS is an annual survey, and we usually send out 30,000 survey every year. And in the recent years, there was around 40% usable samples of those 30,000 surveys sent out. But that information, I think in the past, back in 2012 and 2014, the usable sample size was about 70%, but in recent year, it has been declining. But still, we have a good sample size so that we are able to produce reliable estimates using ARMS.
Okay, thanks. For our next question, do you have balance sheet information on a state level?
Yes, this is Carrie. No, we do not. We do not have, in the Farm Income and Wealth Statistics, we do not have balance sheet information by state. But I will say that the ARMS web tool does have some. So for the 15 states that Deepak mentioned, it does have and some regional totals. But that's about as good as we have right now, but not in the farm income and wealth statistics.
All right, next question. ARMS is a big questionnaire, not to mention all the other NASS surveys, NASH being our National Agricultural Statistics Service. Do you have to confront the issue of farmer response burden?
Yes, I'll hand it over to Deepak in a minute if he has anything to add. But yeah, we're very aware that USDA is trying to get information from farmers and gets a number of surveys, and we work very closely. The ARMS is conducted, as Deepak mentioned, in coordination with NASS, so they're very aware of how many surveys they're asking farmers to complete. For instance, in a year we have the Census of Agriculture coming up for 2022. Farmers will not be asked to complete both an ARMS and a census. Those who receive ARMS, that will count as also their completion of the census. But we do want to encourage, we know these surveys are long and take time to fill out, but they really do provide us with information that is extremely valuable and useful to a wide user group, which I think I tried to get at in my presentation, is just how important these data are. And when we can get it directly from the farmers, it's often the best source of data. Deepak, do you have anything that you want to add on that?
I think, Terry, you illustrated nicely there. And I would like to say, ARMS is the farmer's chance to tell the story of American agriculture. So that means that information will go back to farmers for their own decision making.
Thanks. For our next question, you talked about forecasting on farm income, but is there any forecasting on farm households?
Yes, and that is one reason we are happy to have Christine as part of our panel here today. She does our estimates and forecasts for farm households. So, Christine, would you like to provide some information on that?
Yeah, I can provide some information. So, as my sort of intro alluded to, we do provide household level forecasts alongside the Farm Income and Wealth Statistics data product, but it is technically a separate data product. So if you go to our data product for the farm economy data product page and scroll a bit further down, you will find the farm household data product page, and that is where we have all of our forecasts, and it's similar in essence to, or has the same timeline as the Farm Income and Wealth Statistics. So we're going to be providing estimates and forecasts for the same years and match up to the Farm Income and Wealth Statistics data product as well.
Great, thanks, Christine. For our next question, can I find which state has the most farms using ARMS web tool?
Yeah, Deepak, would you like to take that one?
Sure. As Terry also re-emphasized, ARMS survey are conducted in 15 major agriculture states, and when you look at the state level information, there is a variable called farms. That's a number of farms, and if you look at that information, you can find which state does have more farms. I think Iowa does have the more farms in U.S.
Yeah, I'll just add that if you need all 50 states' number of farms, that our sister agency, the National Agricultural Statistics Service, they have that readily available, all 50 states, and you can get a ranking to see which one's at the top.
Thank you both. For the next question, are the data available at the county level within each state?
No, neither the Farm Income or Wealth Statistics or the ARMS data dissemination tool has county level data. But we do have some resources that we can point you to. We do have a frequently asked question on this in the Farm Income and Wealth Statistics data product. But if you're interested in county level data, you can look at the Census of Agriculture, which is administered by NASS again, or also the Bureau of Economic Analysis. They put out county level data, and I think it's important to note that their data, they start with our state level data. So we provide them that input that they can then break it down to county level data using additional information that also largely comes from USDA as well.
Good to know. Okay, for the next question, why are states' data a year behind the release of U.S. data?
Yeah, thank you for that question. We don't do forecasts at the state level, so that's why they may appear to be a year behind. So right now, for instance, we're only forecasting U.S. 2022 farm income. And we don't do U.S. level forecasts because primarily of the difficulty in the data requirements in order to do so at the state level. So when we're able to start doing estimates, even U.S. estimates, is about 16 months, 18 months after the end of the calendar year, because at that point we get responses from other survey-based data from NASS. We get administrative data from other sources that really help us get observed information on state-level net farm income.
Okay, thanks. And next question, how ERS farm income forecasts, or how are ERS farm income forecasts different than ERS baseline farm income projections?
Well, one of the first primary differences is the ERS farm income and wealth statistics data are short runs. So we are only doing the current calendar year and we are not going beyond that. The baseline projections go out much further, many years into the future. But they do start from this, the baseline does start from the latest ERS farm income and wealth statistics forecast. So that's kind of their jumping off point. And Deepak, if you want, Deepak works directly on the baseline. If he wants to add anything else maybe about that process.
Yes, I think for the U.S. farm income baseline projections, we use October WASDE information, and the baseline is the projection. It's not a forecast. So as Gary said, we use that November-December farm income forecast as a basis for the projections. So there are different data components goes into the baseline process, which are different than farm income forecasts. So that is the main reason for having the different projections and the forecasts.
Thanks. For the next question, when is the next Diverse Family Farms report coming out?
Yeah, Christine, do you want to talk about that question?
Yeah, I can cover that. So the next release of the Diverse Family Farm Report, which will be highlighting the new 2021 Agricultural Resource Management Survey, will be published December 6th. So
it's going to have a new name too, right?
That is correct. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. We're also changing the name. So it was previously known as the America's Diverse Family Farm Report, but from here, for the foreseeable future, it will be called America's Farms and Ranchers at a Glance. Thank you for reminding me, Carrie.
Thanks, Christine. For our next question, what is the difference between real and nominal dollars?
Yes. When we talk about nominal dollars, it means we're just reporting the value in the year that it occurred. So we're talking about sales, how much they got, for instance, in their sales or their cash receipts, the year in which they received them. In that, there's no adjustment to the value. This is the current value. When we talk about real, we're making an adjustment for inflation so that all the values can be consistent in terms of, what is the real value once you hold inflation constant. For our forecasts and estimates, we always do the inflation adjustment with the forecast year or the current year being the base. So for right now, we're taking, that's 2022. So in our tables, all values for years prior to 22 are adjusted to account for inflation in 2022. So that it's a more even comparisons across time, because we know that, historically, as our, people would say, the value of a, gallon of milk 50 years ago is quite a bit higher than it is now. But when you account for inflation, you're putting them on a more level field. So that's what we mean with the inflation adjustment.
Okay, and then for the next question, interest rates are currently in the news a lot right now. Can we get any data about farms with debt from the ARMS web tool?
Deepak, would you like to take that question?
Sure. That's a great question. In that Teller reports, there is a report called Farm Debt Repayment Capacity. If you click that Teller report, you can find the total number of farms, and you can also find number of farms with the debt. So if you do simple arithmetic, I think using 2020 data, you can find 25% of all U.S. farms have some debt. And it's interesting to mention because most of the farms, they don't carry debt from year to year, but they might have some operational credit, which will be paid out by end of the year.
Thanks, Deepak. Next question, can I find irrigation acreage in ARMS web tool on the state level?
That's an interesting question. By irrigation data, the web tool is limited to what we call ARMS Phase 3. So I don't think it has, I don't know, I should not even try. I'll take it over to Deepak to see if Deepak has an answer to that.
I think we didn't have that information in ARMS web tool, but recently ERS published some irrigation report. There might be some information, but we don't have that information in our ARMS web tool. But I'm happy to provide any information if we have from different sources, because we have different brands. They closely work with the irrigations information.
Thanks, Deepak. For the next question, the example about dairy operations was interesting. Can I find those data by state?
Yeah, that was Deepak's example. If you want to take that, Deepak.
Yes, and that's a great question. You can do that by 15 major states. In that example, I did show the overall U.S. information, but we can have that information broken down by those 15 states and by regions.
Okay, and for this next question, many farms are operated by those who are not primarily engaged in farming. Does ARMS provide information about those farm operations?
Short answer, yes, because ARMS is sent to farmers of all types. But Deepak, do you want to take that question further?
Sure. In that teller reports, you'll see that collapsed farm typology filtered by options. You'll see residence farms, intermediate farms, and commercial farms. If you will, those residence farms are small farms, and which are those that make less than 350,000 in gross cash farm income, and the principal operator is either retired or has a primary occupation other than farming. In ARMS data, using web tool, you will find almost 50%, half of the farms they belong to that category. So that's why there are many farms. Those are not primarily engaged in farms. So for that, as I said, you have to choose that residence category to get the number of farms and other their financial characteristics.
Thanks, Deepak. And for the last question that we have time for today, are the net farm income data broken down further in the ARMS tool?
Yeah, that's another one for Deepak. If you'll take that, please.
Sure, and that's a great question. ARMS web tool has net farm income data broken by different types of farms. For example, those residence farms, intermediate farms, and the big farms, commercial farms, we call it. And you also get net farm income broken by economic class. That's based on the gross sales. We also have the different category called farm typology. This is based on the primary occupation for principal operator and gross cash farm income. And we also have that information broken down by operator age, farm resource regions, and NAS 5 regions, and production specialty. As I did show in the example, dairy, you also find net farm income broken down by different commodities. For example, corn, soybean, cattle, poultry, etc.
And I will just add, it also has, in case this is the direction the question or the question was intended to go, it does have the net cash and net farm income component. So it does have information on sales and expenses, similar to the farm income and wealth statistics, but not identical. But it does have some of those components of income.
Good to know. Thank you. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Carrie, Deepak, and Christine, thank you for sharing your insights. I'd like to thank our listeners today for joining us as well. We hope this has been helpful for you. Before closing, I'd like to quickly highlight our newsroom webpage at www.ers.usda.gov/newsroom. Here you can find the latest news from ERS along with recordings of past webinars. Click the Trending Topics shortcut for current research on a variety of topics, or navigate to our webinar page at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. There you can find recordings of all our past webinars. Be sure to stay tuned for more ERS webinars coming this fall, too. And if you haven't done so already, check out our new ERS Charts of Note mobile app. With this app, which is available free of cost on Apple and Android devices, you can receive digital snapshots of ERS research delivered straight to your mobile device. You can also search ERS's full library of charts, mark your favorites, and share them on social media. And speaking of social media, don't forget to like, share, and follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. You can also stay informed by subscribing to our email notification service. Visit our website to subscribe for specific topics of interest and other news from ERS. Again, thank you for joining us today. This concludes our webinar.